What's up, Tejas? I'm here today with Michael Ward at Pioneer Farms. He's the chairman of the board, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the history of the farm and also some of the products that they have. So thank you so much for letting us come and join you today.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's really great here. I've actually never been here, and it feels like you stepped, into a different time period for sure. And as y'all can see from behind us in this room, there's a lot of really cool stuff. So we're gonna make sure that we show y'all all of that. But first I wanted to start by you telling us a little bit about yourself, and then also how did you get involved in this organization?
Well, I got involved at Pioneer Farms in the 1990s. Came out here, I was a member of a historic preservation group in Texas that actually has owned the property for a long time, and came out here and kind of got intrigued with it's kind of hands-on history.
Yeah.
And I live in a 100-some-year-old house, so I like old stuff. But out here I could, actually get in and get my hands dirty, learning how to repair stuff, and, working with some of these wagons and buggies and whatnot. And so it's real interesting. I was a history minor in college.
I was gonna ask.
So, yeah, and I had, even though I was not born in Texas, I tell people I got here as quickly as possible because I actually had relatives in Austin in the 1840s.
Oh, wow. So you have a lot of family history.
Right, and interestingly, I later found out that they worked driving cattle between Seguin and Abilene, Kansas on the Chisholm Trail. And the Chisholm Trail came through here for 4 or 5 years, so they were probably riding through here at some point. So it's a small world, right?
Yeah. So it's almost like you were meant to be here then.
Well, I don't know about that, but maybe, I don't know. But it is interesting. It's a hands-on history, and I'm a volunteer like everybody else.
Okay, and so you were telling me before we got started that you have experience in communications. You're also into politics. So you have your hand in like a bunch of different buckets. And but I want to know specifically, how did you hear about this organization, and why did you choose this one over other historical organizations?
Because I was a member of this historic preservation group here in Austin, and then got on their board, and they owned the place, and they were trying to figure out how to make this place successful for the long term.
Yeah.
And so when the city of Austin, who had been operating the place for 10 years, when they pulled out and cut it from the budget, it came back to that group to figure out what to do with it. So that's when I got sent out here. We started out with no money, no volunteers, facility that probably needed $300,000 worth of infrastructure.
Yeah.
There was no running water, no sewer. So we organized a volunteer corps out here, and we operated the place solely with volunteers for like 16 years.
Wow.
And right now, the volunteers do most of the staffing. There's a couple of staff members who are paid hourly to do support functions, but everybody else is a volunteer. There's 438 volunteers as of today.
Oh, wow.
And I think we're probably one of the largest volunteer-run and staffed living history museums in the United States.
Yeah.
So.
And so let's talk a little bit about what people can expect when they come and visit. Like, what kind of things do you have for them to see, and what kind of products y'all have too? I know we were kind of chatting before, and we were talking about y'all actually have like eggs for sale and different vegetables. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, yeah. So when you come out, you walk in, and when you come through the front gate, you're in the 1800s.
Yes.
There's no air conditioning. There's people in costume at 10 different interpretive sites, including the entrance village, and each one of those is interpreted for a different year. So you can walk literally from 1899 all the way back to 1839.
Oh, wow.
And each one of the sites is a fully functioning farmstead, with one exception, and that's the Republic of Texas overlook. And it's down along the creek, and those bluffs right south of the creek are where the President of the Republic of Texas rode out and overlooking that bluff, he saw buffalo all over the plain stretching way beyond, and that's where he made the decision, according to legend, that they were going to move the capital to Austin back in 1839.
Yeah.
So there's a huge amount of history out here. Chisholm Trail, the northern branch of the Camino Real came up through here. There were native peoples living in here clear back to the 1600s and beyond. This was one of the most diverse parts of central Texas and maybe even Texas. There was, eastern settlers called Texans. There were Tejanos who lived in this area. After emancipation, this was a large freedmen's area. People from Eastern Europe, Germans and whatnot settled out here. It was a melting pot of different cultures and stuff, and it's really interesting to see the history and how all these folks lived next to each other and helped each other and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's part of the history we interpret here. But each one of the sites is for a different year, and it's interpreted to highlight the history not just of this area, but also broader history of Texas.
Yeah. That's so awesome. And so like a living history museum is different because you actually get to interact with others that are kind of playing the role of a certain time period.
That's right. Okay. And people dress up in costume for different periods. The people at the Tonkawa encampment, which is the native people site down by the creek, are going to be wearing different costumes than the people who are going to be at, say, the cotton planters farm, or the people who will be down at the German immigrant farm, which is interpreted for late 1860s.
Yeah. And is it true that this farm is haunted?
We do have ghost tours out here. They're very popular, and people have seen all kinds of things out here. They've heard people talking to them that you can't see. There's about 3 sites out here that we've had a lot of paranormal investigations out here. The only story that I can tell you from personal experience is that down along the creek, I was down there late one night and there was a fog that had come in. There was absolutely no wind, and myself and another person were standing down there, and we could see what appeared to be someone walking through the fog, even though there was no wind or breeze or anything, coming through the fog, coming around. There's a 700 or 800 year old oak tree down there, coming around as if whatever this was kind of scouting us out, and it circled us and came back around and then disappeared.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know how to explain that. I'm going to call that unexplained. I don't know whether there was a spirit or something down there, but I can just tell you that that's my personal experience. And there's been others who have been on the ghost tours who have had a similar experience down there when the weather's right.
I might have to take one of those tours. I think it would be fun. I'm going to have to bring somebody with me. So.
Right. Now you asked me about the products that we do out here. Okay, so there's a large community garden.
Okay.
We plant vegetable plots out here for the various sites. We also have chickens and even turkeys at some of the sites, and we do sell those eggs. They're natural eggs. We don't have cage. We don't do cage stuff. We also have the Texas Folk Art School is based here.
Oh, wow.
And so we teach everything from blacksmithing to Dutch oven cooking to traditional hand tool woodworking to
line dancing.
All kinds. We teach line dancing. There's a line dancing class. There's a square dancing class. There's all kinds of classes, nature classes, bird watching and stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's 60 some classes that we do teach out here at various times during the year. And all the revenues that are generated out here, not only from those classes, but from people coming in or the festivals and special events that we occasionally do, this all goes back into the operations out here and to help us expand exhibits and do other things.
Yeah, that's so awesome. You'll have so much to do. I feel like if somebody's coming to visit Texas and they need that true Texas feel, they need to come here to feel like Texan.
And we've had visitors from, I think, 67 other countries come here. We've had, I think, 49 states. The only one we lack is Alaska, and I imagine somebody's been out here from Alaska.
Yeah, they had to have.
But it is, we have, before COVID, we had like 68,000 people a year visiting.
Wow.
It's a fairly major tourist draw for Austin. And then we have the school groups and the others who come for actual guided tours out here. But also beyond that, we have like 8 different guided tours, from nature tours to, what we call the Talkawa tour of native peoples. There's a Gone to Texas tour that's about the homesteaders that came in this area. But we've also been doing virtual tours as a result of COVID, and those are now quite popular. So we've got a guide who walks around in costume, and he can answer questions and highlight stuff, walking down a path, say, oh, look, here's a snake over here.
Oh,
or,
that's cool.
look at this eagle over here in this tree.
So are they actually doing it like live? Like,
yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
I like that.
So we live in the 1800s out here, but we are
caught up to speed in
caught up to
the
speed in the
technology.
21st century, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Otherwise, we'd be sending like a little pigeon or something to send a message.
Right.
So I want to talk a little bit about joining forces with other organizations. We actually heard about y'all because of Go Texan, which is an organization we were able to visit. So what do you feel is the importance of, connecting with other organizations?
Oh, it's a huge part of the deal, and it's a thing that was big in the 1800s. Not only for people who lived out on the frontier someplace, they had to have resources that they could go to, but just Go Texan, for instance. So we're a member of Go Texan, have been for a number of years. The Agriculture Commissioner's been out here a couple of times that I know of, and we're heavily involved with that because we also have a store, a general store that sells 1800s generally kind of stuff, but we locally source other things we sell in there, like jams and jellies, salsas, I don't know, there's a bunch of stuff in there, and a lot of that, if not all that stuff that's locally sourced as far as foods and other things, it comes through the Go Texan program.
Yeah.
So we network with them a lot, and that not only supports Texas businesses, but it also replicates actually what was going on in the 1800s because they couldn't ship stuff in, from New York or someplace and have Amazon drop it at your front door. So it needed to be, they did a lot more local sourcing then. So this helps Texas businesses and it helps us. And so we're kind of, networking is a big part of what we do, not only with that, but also with other groups who come out here and volunteer.
Yeah. And I mean, I imagine that y'all have volunteers from all different industries too that are...
We do. We have people who are journalists. We have people who are lawyers. We had a Supreme Court justice and his family that volunteered out here several years ago. We have people who are retired. I think our youngest volunteer is like 4 years old right now.
Wow.
We have, I think our oldest one is probably in his early 80s, but they're all ages, all from the total breadth of Texas. Very diverse group. And what this does is everybody is focused on, they're interested in Texas history and they're interested in some place where they can come. They may be a blacksmith and are really interested in that. But they may be somebody who loves to swing dance or something like that. So, or someone who loves to repair a 200-year-old log cabin, or, I mean, just people with all kinds of talents and everything. This is the come-to place.
So if y'all are looking for a volunteer opportunity, y'all, it sounds like you are not too old or young to volunteer.
And reenactors. We have reenactors that come in here from all over Texas, members of the Texas Rifles. This is kind of their headquarters, and they muster out here a couple of times a year. We have people who come in who do military reenactments. We've had Buffalo soldiers and other folks in here. We have people come in who are they interpret life in Texas in the late 1800s. So they come out here dressed in civilian wear, and they come in and will 3 or 4 times a year and will help us staff stuff. So we have people driving in from north of Dallas. We have people driving in from San Angelo. We have people driving in from south of San Antonio. There's a group that comes in from Houston 5 or 6 times a year. it's kind of amazing, really, but it's all the focus on people who are interested in Texas history, all aspects of it.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So there's just like a ton to choose from. So we're gonna make sure that we put that all y'all's information so people can find y'all. And then let's talk a little bit about attitude. Obviously, you volunteered here for a long time and you must love it, but I'm sure that you've had some instances where maybe you had some obstacles that you were like, oh my gosh, it's hard to work with somebody that's thinking differently than me. Or maybe you're like, I have this great idea, but we don't have the funding to do this. Or like, can you tell me a little bit about
We're
some
very
obstacles?
open about, we're very transparent about our operations and our finances. And everybody understands that there's a limited amount of money and there's limited staffing. And so we have a board that prioritizes things, and there's some discussion generally about what gets priorities and what doesn't.
Yeah.
In my, I don't know, 20-some years out here, I don't think we've ever had a situation where it's turned into some big, huge thing.
Yeah.
We have people who come in, we respect the fact that they have a certain amount of time that they can volunteer, so we slot them into something that's going to fit their schedule and fits our schedule. And we also realize that people take other jobs and move. Sometimes they just get tired, and so they step out, and we have other people who come in. We don't have the same volunteer group out here that we had when we first started. The first group of volunteers, I think, was about 8.
Yeah.
So you can see that that's kind of grown
Yes, a little
exponentially. But it's the talent pool has deepened, and so I don't know that we've ever had a situation. I don't know. It's a fairly cohesive group because the whole focus here is on mission, and that's living history of Texas.
Yeah. It sounds like that's like the secret to being a successful organization is just staying focused on the mission and, you know,
Right.
accommodating your volunteers because they're actually giving their time to you
Right.
to make this
And
run.
if you've never done this before at a living history museum, it's really interesting. I basically kind of do everything just to make sure I am connected with what's going on. And one of the jobs I get assigned to most is emptying trash and cleaning toilets.
Oh man.
But the thing is, if I do programs occasionally, and it's interesting because the kids elementary school age will come out here, and so we'll be doing a Gone to Texas tour in person, and even on the virtual. But chickens will stand up, and there'll be an egg underneath them. And these kids' eyes just light up.
Yes.
Because they didn't know that chickens laid eggs. They thought that eggs came from a grocery store.
Yeah.
And the same when we were milking cows out here. This was just fascinating. And you see little light bulb moments go on. And we also do a program where we have kids who are doing community service hours through the municipal court here. And so they come out and they're in some kind of supervised support activity. But it's been interesting to see how many of those kids, once they come out here and work off 40 or 50 hours for, I don't know, a whole variety of things, minor stuff. Once they work off their hours, a lot of them engage and they'll come back out here and
Yeah.
volunteer with their parents. And then the parents get all excited about stuff. And we've actually had 2 or 3, the one I can just think of right off the top of my head. There was a girl out here who was really having issues in high school. And she came out here and did community service hours 2 different times. And she kind of got engaged. And so, long story short is, she went on to college. And when she first came out here, her mother told me she didn't think she was going to college. She enrolled in college. She's a history major. And we just recently heard that she wants to go to get a master's program and go into museum studies.
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
and there's
so-
been another young man who came out here and he decided he wanted to be an architect because he got fascinated with all the different types of architecture.
Yeah.
And the architecture out here ranges pretty much everything for the 1800s in Texas, because
Yeah.
most of these buildings are actual 1800s buildings that have been moved in here. So.
Yeah, so it sounds like going back to keeping a good attitude, and particularly as a volunteer, a longtime volunteer, that's kind of probably what keeps you going are these like success stories that you're hearing from other volunteers that are maybe of the younger generation that are just as excited.
It's the light bulb moments, and the volunteers are, we have a lot of volunteers who are in their 20s and older and even younger, and each one of them is having an experience out here either as a costume interpreter or doing some kind of maintenance or, you know, a whole variety of things. And but the whole focus is on mission. And I tell people that one of the reasons I'm probably still here and I'm still so excited about stuff is that every day I come out here and volunteer, I learn something new about history. Mm-hmm. And a lot of stuff, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. And so tell me what the secret is to finding some really great period pieces to bring back to the farm.
Well, there's two different categories. One is the built pieces, the buildings, and I can tell you stories about buildings. The others are the artifacts, mm-hmm. and the artifacts generally will be offered to us, and we don't accept everything because we're not a collection center.
Right.
But if there's something that we can interpret and put on that's part of we can use in programming, we'll consider it. The buildings are another story. So as Austin has grown over the past 20 years, we've got more and more 1800s buildings that are getting torn down,
yeah.
and the stuff goes to the landfill, and we're very selective here. We could fill up the whole place with buildings that are being offered. In the
yeah.
past 2 weeks, we've had like 6 buildings offered to us.
Wow.
That are in the central core of Austin. And
wow.
we just can't maintain those. They don't fit the program. They're beyond the mission. Some of them we've already got examples of those buildings, but we're very selective. And then we have to raise the money to do anything. So we have to raise the money to move them. We got to raise the money to stabilize them. We got to raise the money to restore them. And we're working on a couple of projects right now, but it's kind of a long process, and we can't help save everything out here. And
yeah.
there's been some buildings that were like 3-story buildings, masonry buildings or something that we just
yeah.
couldn't do.
Wow. Wow. Well, there is so much history to see here, y'all. We're going to move on to our second part of the interview, and this is where we do some Texas trivia, and
okay.
I feel like you're going to be really great at this.
Oh boy.
So
All right.
So what we're gonna do is get you to choose 3 questions out of the hat. So you
okay.
can choose your first one and read it out loud.
What is the largest ranch in Texas, and have I been there? I don't know. I think the largest ranch is down by Uvalde, and I think it may have been the Briscoe Ranch. I have been there. If it's not that one, it's one up in the Panhandle, and I have been there. That was once a part of the XIT ranch that they sold some land off of to help build the current Capitol.
Okay. So the correct answer is King Ranch.
Oh, is that? Okay. Oh, I forgot about that. Well, I've been to the King Ranch too.
Yeah, King Ranch.
Okay.
So I didn't even know. So Briscoe must be like the second biggest, maybe.
It probably is.
Yeah, we'll have to let
King Ranch.
let
Okay.
people know.
Sorry about that, King Ranch. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
And your
All
second
right.
one.
So that was a. All right. Okay. Where did Six Flags Over Texas come from? I'm assuming you're referring to the amusement park.
No,
okay, so,
the name of the amusement.
Yeah, okay, so where it comes from is that Texas has been under ownership by 6 different entities. The French, the Spanish, the Mexican government, the Confederacy, the United States government, and the Republic of Texas.
Yes.
There's your 6.
Oh, good
Now,
job.
interestingly, Pioneer Farms, this land here has obviously been covered by most all of those, I guess all of them actually. But we've actually got history from the northern branch of Camino Real coming through here on an Indian trail. So there's one flag right there that we know is connected here. The Republic of Texas, the land that Pioneer Farms is located on was a league of land that was given to a Texas Ranger named James Rice, who came out here with the President of the Republic and standing on a bluff right south of Pioneer Farm, saw all these buffalo on them, and that's where he decided to move, when he decided to move the capital to Austin from, I think, Houston area.
Yeah.
So we've got the Republic down pat, and then obviously we're part of the United States, and you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Okay, Six Flags, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And you gave us like more history than...
Ding, ding, ding. All right, I got that one. All right. Texas has its own Pledge of Allegiance. Do I know it? Actually, I do. Can I recite it at this moment? Well,
Yes,
and the
do
reason
it.
I know it is that it's the legislature recites the Texas Pledge as they open their daily sessions.
Oh, nice. So can you do it for
Honor
us?
the Texas flag, one and indivisible. Boy, I got bells ringing here now, and I'm sure people who are watching this are going to go bad, bad, bad. Yeah, I left out. I got the first line and the last line.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too. Okay, I'm going to work on that. We weren't ready. It was like stage fright, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you know, I wasn't born here, but I got to Texas as quickly as I could.
Yes.
And but that's not an excuse. I should have known that one.
I'll take that. Well, I wanted to thank you so much for having us here at the farm today and
Not a
for
problem.
telling us a lot about Texas history. You are like a history buff. Like if I ever need like a partner for a trivia night or something, this is my guy. Or a phone a friend. This is him.
At my house, I've got 2 kids. At my house, when someone gets me talking about history, after about 3 or 4 minutes, people will just walk away because they can't shut me up.
That's funny. I don't know if I believe that. No, I'm just kidding.
But my kids are both interested in history, and they both came out here and volunteered. They're in college now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're kind of a Texas history
It runs in the family.
Right.
Well, thanks again for having
Sure.
us, and we'll make sure that we drop all the information so that you can come and visit and check out some maybe virtual tours from home, and that'll be all down below. Make sure that you come visit. Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Come on out, y'all.
What's up, Tejas? Today is National Hammock Day, and so I'm here hanging around in this hammock. But I don't know about y'all. I was gonna get on that like long lay down hammock, and I always get nervous with those because I've seen some people flip over on those. So how about you, Jenny? Have you gotten on a hammock?
Girl, really? You think I'm gonna put on this on that little string stuff? No.
Well, if there weren't so many mosquitoes in Texas, I would be in a hammock all the time, and if it wasn't like really hot. Yeah, because who wouldn't want to nap in a hammock? Like, come on.
Me?
Okay, other than you. Everybody else does.
I don't think everybody else does. This needs to be a poll.
So we're here at a local bar, and they have tons of hammocks. So people are always like hanging out. People are reading books over here, drinking their cocktails, hanging out with their dogs, their friends. So, it's just
Other people who like hammocks,
Yes.
they're hammock tribes.
other hammock lovers celebrating National Hammock Day. They're out here right now. So I want to know, do you have a hammock? And do you like hanging out in hammocks? And also, I don't know about you campers or outdoorsy people, but there are like hammocks that you can fill with water, which is freaking awesome.
Why is that awesome?
Well, because it's like your own personal pool.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like a hammock and it's like just filled with water. But at the same time, I'm thinking on a hot day, that would be really hot.
That's a lot of work.
So yeah. And did you know that you can go camping in a hammock? Like there's hammocks that have
Sort of like portable.
yeah, it's like, but they also have like mesh so that, you can like sleep in your hammock away from the bugs. It's amazing. So if y'all
Have you ever
haven't tried
done it?
No. But
Then how do you know it's amazing?
because it looks amazing. And I like camping. I like camping in tents. So if I like camping in tents, I'm pretty sure I'm going to like camping in a hammock.
So that needs to be on your bucket list for 2021.
Yes.
Camp in a hammock.
I will camp in a hammock. So, and so let us know in the comments. Do you have a hammock? Do you love hammocks? Do you like it? You love it?
Do you trust them?
Yeah, do you trust them? Or are you scared like me that you're going to flip over? Because I'm pretty sure that happened to me when I was a little girl, and now I'm just scarred for life. I got like hammock
Phobia.
traumatic disorder.
Yeah.
PTSD, hammock PTSD.
HTD, hammock traumatic disorder. So anyway, drop it in the comments. Happy National Hammock Day, y'all. Bye.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Till next time, that's all, y'all.